We're just ordinary people living ordinary lives until we see someone on TV win a $25,000 prize. Come on down. I'll play any game for 10 seconds of fame. Come on down. I'll make a deal, just let me spin the wheel. Come on down. To win $1 million, all you need is a little luck and thorough knowledge of multiple disparate trivial subjects.
All right, welcome. Did you see something delicious or something?
This podcast.
Okay, wow. Welcome to an all-new episode of Come On Down, the game show podcast, hosted by you,
John Baker, and you,
Jonathan Motney.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, what a Freaky Friday type situation we have going on here.
So if this was a Freaky Friday situation, every single time we did a podcast, we would switch bodies. So we'd just be going back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, I think we should.
So what, are we on an even or an odd number now? 52?
No, I think this is 53.
Okay. So odd would be opposite bodies.
Opposite bodies. Okay.
So we're
I'm glad we've established this.
Yeah.
And I hope this is 53.
It's important.
Who knows? Because we don't know what bodies we're supposed to be in for this one otherwise.
It's important to get the rules of the universe down so
Yeah,
that you and the audience...
The audience needs to understand and
on the
follow
same
along. There
page.
needs to be some internal consistency going on.
Correct.
So today we're going to be talking about a game show that is also a shape.
And it's so clear what happens in the game show by just the name of the game show.
The Cube.
And so I would assume Cube,
It's a math show.
it's a math show, maybe, yes.
Yeah. Or in the UK, they would call it a maths show,
Right.
where it originated. But we'll get into that in a minute.
We will.
I don't want to... Spoiler alert. England's involved.
In a lot of the
Those
episodes, actually.
fuckers. Anyway, yes, that is true. A lot of... all the odd-numbered ones, actually, when we switch bodies for some reason.
It's because of Europeans.
So we've got... Well, I was gonna say they're not in the European Union anymore, but I guess they're still Europeans. They're just not unionized.
Mm-hmm.
They're a right-to-work country now.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we get into whatever we're going to talk about today, the hijinks, etc., we've got a sponsor.
Sponsors.
That sent us an ad. Sponsors, did you say?
No sponsor.
Okay. Just wanted to be clear there.
Yeah.
That they sent us an ad that they wrote and that I haven't seen yet, but maybe you have. Maybe you've read through what
I
they
have
wrote.
read through it. I need to make sure that these are appropriate.
Okay, that's fair. Sometimes you don't do a great job of that, though, it feels like.
You know, and it's a really subjective thing.
Okay.
To me, everything is appropriate.
Okay.
So it doesn't really matter. I don't really know why I'm reading it.
So you read it, and then you go, yep.
Yeah. That is my whole process.
Okay. All right. Not everyone is gifted with the ability to express how they feel via the written word.
Hallmark and other companies have helped us outsource our writing during special occasions like birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays.
But why should we be confined to special happy occasions as dictated by big card companies?
The Nietzsche Card Company is breaking those barriers card by card. Now, you don't need to be confined to the cliche happy birthday or congratulations on your engagement or Merry Christmas cards. 90% of life is disappointment and failure, and our greeting cards should reflect that.
Each occasion card comes with a Nietzsche quote. Some of our most popular cards include the "Noticed your whisper fight at the barbecue" card, with the quote, "It is not a lack of love, but a lack of friendship that makes unhappy marriages," inscribed on the inside.
Wow.
Or our "Sorry about our very public Facebook thread fight" card, with the quote, "You have your way, I have my way. As for the right way, the correct way, and the only way, it does not exist," written on the inside.
Come On Down listeners will receive one free card with the purchase of one card with the code NIETSCHEONDOWN at checkout.
And for a limited time, you can purchase the "Sorry About Your Dementia" card, inscribed with, "The advantage of a bad memory is that one enjoys several times the same good things for the first time."
The Nietzsche Card Company. If our cards leave a smile on your face, we'll refund your money.
You know, it's really funny. Earlier today, I was in your house,
Okay.
and I saw this book called Beyond Good and Evil.
Yeah, what's that about?
It's a book by Friedrich Nietzsche, and it was on your...
Is it Friedrich or Frederick?
Probably. I don't
Okay.
know. And it was on your kitchen table.
Interesting.
What a weird coincidence.
That is really
That
cool.
is.
What happened is I got this ad sent to me today.
All right, and you wanted to make sure it was appropriate.
And I wanted to make sure that it was appropriate, and I also wanted to make sure that it was in line with the correct philosophies of Friedrich Nietzsche, which is the correct pronunciation.
Okay, yeah. Did it clarify that in the book?
It did.
Yeah, that makes sense. See, and so I was off. That's why I went with Frederick.
Fine. And that's fine.
So
that's fine.
Thanks to Nietzsche
Card Company,
and their work on philosophy, and whatnot. Today, we're gonna philosophize
about
a game show.
Oh, okay.
That came over to us.
Whether it's good or bad, which is really
That's a good point. It's not for us to decide really. We'll be revising our scoring system at the end of this episode. Because that's not what it's about.
It's not.
It's not about good. It's about beyond good and bad.
Evil.
Yeah. For this context,
I would say some
game shows are evil. You think?
Yeah.
Hitler was working on a few of those back in the day.
Is that what would be the name of a Hitler game show? Blue Eyes or Die.
Yeah.
And it's a real quick.
And you just do a quick check. Didn't Hitler have brown eyes? Did he have blue eyes? Do we know?
Probably
all the pictures
not.
of him are black and white, from what I can tell.
Yeah, because he had black eyes.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. But I don't know. It just I was talking to my family or some friends or somebody about this the other day. But about how, for all of his blonde hair, blue eyes, superior race sort of thing, I don't know, Hitler looked like just a regular brown-eyed girl to me.
Well, that's the beauty of being a dictator and a megalomaniac. You can be like, I can decide what is good. I personally don't have to be that because I am the instrument.
It's like a cult leader, really. Yeah. So Hitler was just doing this for poon. He was just doing it to just bang a bunch of blonde chicks. Yeah, which I get. Other things about Hitler I don't get.
Right,
like the art thing. I wasn't into that.
Yeah, that didn't really make any sense.
Yeah. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about Neville Chamberlain instead, a famous Hitler appeaser, because we're talking about the Cube, which originated in the UK in 2009. And I think I'd seen clips of this on YouTube before.
I don't think I'd ever seen this.
There's some interesting challenges. It's hosted in the UK by Philip Schofield, and I thought he looked familiar, and then I learned that he hosts This Morning on ITV in the UK, like a Good Morning America or that sort of thing for them.
By himself? Just one host?
No, he's got a co-host.
Good.
And I've seen news clips from that, or sometimes they have, you'll see on Reddit or YouTube or something, something that Piers Morgan did or said on whatever morning show he hosted on a different channel in the UK. Although I think he's fired now or something for sucking.
How come we trust late night hosts to do the heavy lifting and most of the job by themselves, but when it comes to the morning, we have to make sure there are at least two hosts involved in the shows?
Because it's got to be there's got to be a woman, because there's a lot of women watching that. The predominant viewers of those are women, and so we've got to throw a woman in there, and we're not just going to take a job away from a man, so he's got to be there also.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
So that's why there's always a man-woman duo on the morning shows. It seems to be the rule.
To appease both?
Yes.
Okay.
And one's got to be black, and one's got to be half Asian, half Hispanic.
Okay.
Like Al Roker.
Yeah.
He's half Asian, half Hispanic.
He's half Asian, half Hispanic?
Yeah. Little known fact about Al.
Interesting.
And 1/3 Charlie Brown. So, like I said, this premiered in the UK in 2009. That's not really why we're interested in it, though.
I don't care about that. To be
honest with you.
No.
What we're interested in is that they just came out with a version in America, the Freedom version of this show.
In that it is almost the exact same replica.
Yeah, yes.
Almost nothing has been
very,
changed.
very, very similar. So It, in the intro, is billed as the world's toughest game show, which I don't know what source they're citing there. They don't have any appendix or anything that I noted, but it's billed as the world's toughest game show. It premiered on TBS just this June 2021. 2021 is the year that we're
currently in.
Just to be clear. And it is hosted, oddly enough, by Dwyane Wade.
Just a great American basketball player, excellent TV personality, and now game show host.
Dwyane Wade, the former Miami Heat, probably most importantly, Cleveland Cavaliers shooting guard for like 20 games. He is the host of a game show now. And I'm not entirely sure why, but I thought it seems like every basketball player needs to have a game show now.
Right.
Because LeBron James had The Wall on NBC, I believe.
Okay.
Then Steph Curry has Holy Moly.
Yeah.
The mini golf
That's
show
such a good show.
on ABC.
How have we not done that yet?
It's game show creds are a little wishy-washy.
What does that even mean?
Like it's just people playing miniature golf. Is that a
yeah?
game
But
show?
we get to watch it. It's fun to watch.
All right, we'll get to it. We're running desperately low on remaining game shows that we haven't talked about. So Dwyane Wade is the host of this show now, and like I said, it's on TBS. It has a grand prize.
Characters welcome.
And there are some on this show. Let me tell you.
Oh my goodness!
And it has a grand prize of $250,000. That do anything for you? That move the needle?
My needle is
participate
flipping.
for $250K?
My needle is
hard
jumping
right now.
No, it's jumping.
Oh, okay.
250. Come on.
Okay, sorry.
After taxes.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we're looking at 160 or something.
Yeah, I'm
like
not
that.
even buying like a McLaren with that.
Yeah, weak. So this is a game show made up of many games.
Mm-hmm. I would say mini games.
Mini games. I would say that's right. And there are 7 of them that if you complete all 7, you can win $250,000.
And all of them have to do with balls, right?
Not all of them. There's a lot of balls involved, though.
Yeah.
There are definitely a lot of balls
in
involved.
a cube. Which
yes.
Are they? Do they?
There's always a cube involved.
Ironic that all of these balls were the main focus inside of this cube.
Wow, that's kind of like a Nietzsche type of analysis there. It's balls. It's a cube. What does it mean?
What is it? Yeah.
You can't fit a round peg into a square hole.
You can with tools.
Okay.
It's balls within a cube within a ball.
That is the world.
Within a unending plane of
nothing,
continually expanding existence.
Yeah.
What shape would that be?
Cube. Back to cube.
It's another cube.
Yeah.
Okay.
So cube and a ball and a cube and a ball.
I'll do a quick little. What shape is the universe?
TBD.
No, it's EBS.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sphere.
Okay, there we go. Back to ball then. A lot of balls. Way more balls than cubes, it turns out.
Yeah.
Anyway, you've got to complete 7 games to win $250,000. It's for couples, this version. In the UK, it's for solo peoples. Over here, it's for couples.
Yeah.
And some of the games are one person, so you select which of the one person is going to do the game. And some of the games are 2 people, so both of you are doing it. And to complete these 7 games, each game that you complete is a ladder up of cash prize earned. So the first one you win $1,000, the second one $2,000, $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000, $250,000.
Ding ding
Grand
ding!
prize there for completing all 7. Over the course of these 7 games, you have, much like a cat, 9 lives,
which falls into the cube.
That's
theme.
back to cube. Yes, exactly.
That's back to cube.
Cats are cube shaped.
In Minecraft.
Yes. Exactly. This game show was based on Minecraft.
It was?
Yeah.
Oh.
So you've got 9 lives to complete these 7 games. So anytime you fail to accomplish the task of one of the games, that costs you a life.
And you hear a quick meow. in the background.
Yeah, exactly. The sound of a cat dying, which they actually, and the Foley team on this show did incredible work. I believe they killed 463 cats, is what I read on Wikipedia, before they got the perfect cat dying sound to use for the sound effect.
And then what happens is they didn't want to just continue to reuse that same sound. They want it to be a unique sound for each one. So what they did is when they found that one cat, they then bred that cat to make cats that have a similar style of it's like a
diversity.
Horse, like a thoroughbred horse,
Yeah,
they
you got the bloodline. What do you think that cat is worth on the open market?
Oh, I would say, I don't know, maybe $1,000.
Wow, okay, that seems like a regular, maybe a little expensive for a cat.
I can't see this game show being super popular in the long term.
Got it.
If it were, absolutely, that value would explode.
This isn't Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
No. Which they did that was them drowning
wow.
a kangaroo.
Okay.
And so,
okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, nobody does. And so that's how they got that.
Okay. So there are also 2 assists that you can use in addition to your 9 lives.
That brings us back to the cube.
What?
That's a cube theme.
Assists?
Oh no, wait, hold on. That's back to the basketball theme.
Yeah,
which uses a ball.
So
we're kind of bouncing back and forth.
Yeah. Really more spheres than cubes at this point, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, let's say the only cube situation is the cube
is
itself.
The cube, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So in the original UK version, the 2 assists or lifelines, basically, which
are they also called assists in the?
I think so. I'm not entirely positive. They might just be called lifelines, just like Millionaire. Yeah. They are in the UK simplify, in which the game is somehow simplified, made easier. Or
which is they read the rules of that game again, just real slow.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing about the game itself.
Just so you understand what you're doing here.
It's like it's a kid.
Yeah. So there's simplify, and then there is trial run, which is you get a chance to try it that doesn't count, but at least maybe you can get a feel for it without using a life.
I would say arguably just as valuable, if not more valuable, than the simplify.
A trial run.
It's so clear that these people, and I guess anything in general, you get one chance at it, you get a feel for it. Mm-hmm. You know that this game, most of these games are like a little or a lot harder than you think initially going in.
Right.
So that one try is going to be so great, so helpful.
So it's unfortunate that you think that.
Why is that?
Because in the American version, there are the 2 assists, simplify, but not trial run. Instead, it's called one shot, in which instead of you trying the thing, Dwyane Wade tries the thing for you.
Yeah, which is, I would say, the worst. Unless it was like, shoot this basketball.
Yeah.
And some of them are, I mean, here's the thing. There's hand-eye coordination involved in almost every single one of these.
Right.
Dwyane Wade obviously has a higher than average hand-eye coordination firing off in his brain.
Right.
But these aren't tailored to being a professional athlete. Like, I don't see how that gives you a huge advantage. If I can't do it, Dwyane Wade might have a little bit of a better chance than I do.
And he's only got 1 try at it.
I don't understand that. That's not a value add to me.
So here's where it's a value add. This is kind of something we've talked about with Jeopardy recently. Jeopardy, I don't know if you guys are up to date on the news. There is no new news that I'm aware of since we last talked about it.
Thank you for that.
So that's the update on the news.
Thank you for that update.
We still don't have a host for Jeopardy. But I think last week I talked about how...
We'll do it. How about we do it?
I'll do it.
How about we do a double co-host?
Yes.
Except every word, every other word is said
by
one
of
us.
Chip and Dale. Ooh, what if Chip and Dale hosted it instead of us? I feel like that would be better.
No, I think we would do.
Okay.
We would do a better job.
So we talked, I think last week I mentioned an article written by a former Jeopardy champion who talked about how the game show wasn't about Alex Trebek. It was about the contestants and the people competing on the show. And they've kind of made it a circus by flipping through all of these guest hosts where it's like, tune in to see Aaron Rodgers this week, tune in to see Dr. Phil this week, or whatever it is, or Dr. Oz.
It's working, by the way.
Right.
Whatever
So,
marketing idiot came up with this, they're doing a great job.
right. So there's that element of it on this show, I feel like, where what they do is say, on its own, this show's not that great.
No.
So let's distract you by making Dwyane Wade the star, and maybe you'll tune in for Dwyane Wade.
Right.
It feels like a lot of bad game shows lean on a celebrity host. Like that, for example, that we've talked about from the last few years is there's Cherries Wild hosted by Jason Biggs, and there's Don't hosted by Adam Scott, and there's The Hole in the Wall with LeBron, and then there's this with Dwyane Wade. And it's like, yeah, the game's not that good, so just trot somebody famous and popular that maybe people will tune in to see what that dude's up to today.
I mean, Cherries Wild, they don't even, when they do
It was
their,
also just a commercial.
yeah, when they do their W-2s, it's straight up, it's just a commercial advertising revenue. It's not an actual game.
Yeah, so that's kind of what this, so like, when you talk about the classic game shows like Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune or The Price is Right, it was never like, well, Bob Barker's this big famous celebrity, we got to get him to host this show so it'll be good. Or the same thing with Pat Sajak, Alex Trebek, etc. The game was just good. So I feel like we're just throwing Dwyane Wade out there, and it's like, oh, hey, look at this funny, crazy thing Dwyane Wade's trying to do. Tune in to see that instead of the actual game.
Yeah, and don't worry that most of this show has a cylindrical or sphere type game
And we
theme.
call it the cube.
We call it the cube.
So I did something a little bit different for this episode.
Oh my goodness.
And I went and I watched the entirety of the first episode on TBS.
Of the American version?
Of the American version.
Okay.
Of the Dwyane Wade version. And I took notes throughout the entire episode.
Sure.
Of kind of what was happening.
Okay.
What my thoughts were on it. And so I thought we could, and so this is if you're trying to go on the TBS app where these are located until October 2nd.
Yeah.
To watch these, maybe do that before you listen to this next part if you don't want any spoilers for episode 1 because I'm going to tell you everything that happens in the episode right now via my notes.
Okay.
Or at least everything that I found relevant in the episode.
Sure.
And we can kind of talk about
You're not gonna go through line by line what they said and the contestants said and
just some of the things that stood out to me. So, without further ado,
this is for the couple that it works with inner city kids.
Yes. Okay.
That claim their entire zip code is at risk.
Is at risk, yes. In El Paso, I believe.
Yeah.
So, these are my notes from that episode.
Okay.
First note. There is no apparent reason for them to be in the cube. That was my first note.
Except that that's where the games are?
Yeah. The cube means nothing.
Correct.
Other than the fact that they go into a glass cube to play the game, but the cube doesn't come into play at all. It is mostly irrelevant.
Except that it is sentient and talks to them.
Yes, it also talks to them for some
I would say
reason.
talks is too general. It more sasses.
It does sass. It taunts them,
Yes.
really.
That's a good word.
The cube is kind of doing like a, in Borat, where he's like, no, 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 you will never get it. Like,
Yeah.
that is what the cube is doing.
It's kind of
about
like
its games.
the comebacks of Weakest Link.
Yes.
It's a...
Except a robot is doing it.
Right.
For some reason, male Siri Cube is doing it.
Male Siri Cube, yeah.
Okay. So that was my first note. This was a quote. This was in the intro. They introduce our two contestants. There's a couple, like we said, lived in El Paso, ran a basketball gym for underprivileged kids there, and in part of it, it was clearly filmed by the guy's iPhone. the contestant's iPhone. Like they cut away to a little clip of him, I don't know, in the gym or in his house or something like that. And he's talking into camera and he says, "We are very proud of all of our girls." And kind of like pans the camera over to him standing in front of a wall where there's a framed picture of all of these girls. And the entire thing is just blurred out.
Because they're minors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why put that in there?
I think it just goes to show that this guy had physical proof of what they do, but, you know, legal was like...
So, we're very proud of all of our girls, all these blurred people right here.
Yeah, it did cut into the sentimentality of that aspect.
It was weird. So then Dwyane Wade...
Or maybe those girls suffer from blur face.
That's definitely possible.
What they look
like. It's a 21 Pilots song, I believe. About a real affliction
that
blurry
plagues
face
young kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Dwyane Wade is then like, "Oh, you know, you guys do this. That's great. You know, you're gonna have money going back to your community if you win. You know, $250,000 on the line, whatever." And the woman of the couple then says the quote, "If we don't make this happen, we let everybody down.
Yeah,
it's
true.
not just us." And I thought, that's a burden. That's a big burden to put on this game show where there's a very real chance that you win $0.
Yeah. But I think that's good. Some people need that.
You need to thrive under pressure.
I think I would crumble under that much pressure.
You absolutely would. There's no doubt in my mind.
And so, but maybe this person,
You'd be crying immediately.
Yeah. Well, I would get the show. The show would contact me and say, "Hey, congratulations. We selected you. We love your backstory. We can market that because our show, you know, is very boring. So we absolutely need a strong backstory like this." And then I would collapse. And then potentially I would even run away.
Panic attack,
run away, hide in the world somewhere.
Right. Which is a sphere. Because you want to get as far away from the cube as you can.
Correct.
Right now.
Yeah. And I would hop to a different world.
Wow.
But I can't do that.
Okay.
I don't have Jeff Bezos money.
Right.
So, but it seemed to motivate these people.
Yeah. If we don't make this happen, we let everybody down.
Yeah.
I thought, wow. All right. Jesus of Nazareth.
Yeah.
Not the other one.
Or Noah.
Yeah. All the animals.
Yeah.
He only let down the unicorn, I guess.
What if Noah survived the flood, but died of some complication of like, he ate like bad meat?
That would suck.
And so now there's just this floating ark of a whole bunch of animals, and obviously
and they don't
the
know
animals
what to do.
have eaten him, right? Once he dies.
You'd imagine.
Like they're not like magical animals, they're just...
Yeah, also, so here's my question about the ark, I guess. Well, a couple questions about the ark.
Sure. And these are from the episode?
Yeah, this is all covered in
Dwyane
the
said
cube.
these.
So first of all, the unicorn thing. Yeah. Is that in the Bible or is that a made up thing later, right?
I think it's a made up thing later.
Which is weird, right? That we just like added an addendum to a biblical story to teach another lesson about like, all those unicorns were out horsing around and they didn't get on the ark and now they're extinct. Haha.
Yeah.
Listen to Noah.
But there's always like a little bit of a fear in those Christian stories. That's like...
A little bit.
If you don't listen.
A little bit. It's worship this guy or burn for eternity.
Right.
A little bit of fear, I'd say.
Well, I would say, but it's an easy thing. Just do it. Just shut up, stop questioning it, and do it.
So my other question is then...
Sure, ark question.
We've got an ark. We've got, I don't know, how long did it rain for? Like a month and a half or something like that?
Maybe. Yeah.
Long enough time to flood the whole world and kill everything else, right?
Right.
So I guess the question is, there's a lot of carnivores of the animals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So do we need
40 days? So yeah.
Okay, yeah. Do we need more than 2 of some of the animals because we need to feed those to the other animals to survive? Like, how is a lion going to survive for 40 days unless we've got like 80 antelopes instead of just 2? We got to feed that lion.
So they had to factor in how much to feed the other ones to keep the other 2.
Right. I think there's got to be more than 2.
So maybe that's what happened to the unicorns. They ran out of horses and they're like,
well, all right, well, I guess we'll just feed them some unicorns. Here you go, lion. Same thing.
Yeah.
Spit out the horn. Doesn't digest.
Right.
I think I've got a lot of issues with this story. Also, like, we talk about, I guess, do we talk about? I don't know how everybody is like descended from Cain and Abel or Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I guess I don't know.
Aren't Cain and Abel brothers?
Yeah, like there were no daughters, right? So who did they reproduce with?
I mean, at that point in the world, all you needed was a rib.
Okay, that's fair. But then, like, every single person except for Noah and his wife and his family got wiped out, right?
I think so.
So then now we're all descended from Noah.
I mean, we're all descendants from, like, brothers and sisters.
Abraham or whatever. Yeah. I mean, in England, that's still regular today. With, like, kings and queens and stuff. They've got to keep the bloodlines pure.
What was the bloodline thing? Because how many times are you able to turn a blind eye to a very disturbing birth to still say, but we can't mix blood?
Because we got the bloodline pure. That's a good question. I would say it's probably the same question of like why we had slavery and things like that. And we're like, yep, their skin looks different, so they're just worse than us, actually.
Actually.
They're just worse than us. So, I mean, if that's a prevailing belief up until 260 years ago,
Yeah.
then I feel like it's not that wild of a belief to be like, our family is better and it's because of genetics. So we need to just keep doing those genetics. And sure, some of us will die when we're 13 of weird fetal conditions. But that's just the thing we have to live with. Because I also believe that it's like the whole, now because of that, there's kind of a like misconception about the birth defects of incest, in that what really causes it is recessive traits not being weeded out of the bloodline. Because if everybody has those like negative recessive traits or whatever,
Yeah,
they keep multiplying and it keeps getting passed down and getting worse and worse. And it's more likely for you to have that disorder or whatever. And so like people think it's like if one dude has sex with his sister or whatever, the baby's going to be all messed up. But that's like not true at all. It's because of these like kings and queens that are just all having sex with themselves only for like generations and generations.
Yeah.
That is why that eventually happens. And maybe that's why like all of those like English kings and stuff own like each of the families or whatever, like the Tudors and those people and whatever, they only last like a certain amount of time because it's like, oh, well, now we're all kind of fucked up. And somebody else has kind of got like an in there to be like, do you want this dude to be the king or me? And people are like, oh, yeah, that's a good point. That guy does have 8 eyes, and that's kind of weird.
But that's how he can use that as a trait. Like, I can see more.
Okay. But who wants Big Brother watching you all the
does
time?
7 of these eyes not work?
I mean, aside from Australians, all of Australia, they want Big Brother watching them all the time. But aside from that, maybe people don't want that.
And this is just you advocating for incest, right?
I wouldn't go that far with it. No.
It kind of sounded like you were really pushing for it.
I was just... Yeah. Fair. I was just saying that I think what Noah did was noble, and I thank him. My great grandpa Noah. Maybe that wasn't enough greats.
I don't know, because don't they get significantly?
Well, the lifespans get shorter and shorter the further and further I go back. So I probably have to like amplify the greats the further you get back. Like there's not a lot of 80 I don't think Noah was 80 when he died.
No, definitely
He was
not.
probably like 17 and he had 43 grandchildren by that point. It was a different time. So back to my recap of episode 1 of this show.
Sure.
There are crowd cheers and clearly no people there. They don't laugh though.
Yeah.
So I noticed there's clearly an empty
Probably cubed stadium, maybe.
Yeah, cubed area. There was clearly no audience there, probably due to COVID. And there were cheers, but then like Dwyane Wade was always trying to tell jokes and stuff. and the contestants would laugh, but there was no background laughter ever whatsoever.
Yeah.
There was only like cheers when they're getting into the cube, when they're introducing them and stuff like that. For some reason, when they edited this, they put those cheers in there, but they didn't put any laugh track in there for the jokes. So they kind of left Dwyane Wade out to dry a little bit.
The main laugh track was Dwyane Wade when the contestants would say something funny.
Yes, there was a lot of over laughter going on amongst the contestants and Dwyane, I would say. So my next note was, why is the cube a robot? Which I think we've already discussed. And we never get any sort of answer to other than
there's no rhyme or reason.
Robots are cool, man.
I wish that they treated pilot episodes for game shows similar to, regular shows. At least most of the time, there's a little bit of justification as to why we are watching these characters and why they're in the situation they're in. And usually something big happens. There's some sort of a change or a turning point that sucks the viewer in.
Right.
And for this show, there is absolutely nothing. I mean, even just hi, we stole all of the aspects of the show from the UK version.
Right.
If you need any explanation, or if you're looking for an explanation, hop on over the pond, the Atlantic.
Right. That pond.
Not PA. No, PA.
Yeah. P
not
left,
AP classes.
Right. Yes. Exactly.
PA classes. And see if you can find some answers over there. There's nothing of like that.
Yeah. They really should have clarified something like that with us.
I would have loved that.
Just, hey, what? You might be wondering why we do this the way we do. I don't know. We just copied something else. Could you ask them?
Yeah. Just pass it down the road.
Yeah. Really passing the buck there. So, my next note. First game, Avalanche. That was the name of the game. Put 10 balls down a ramp before the first one reaches the bottom using only one hand.
Sure.
And so it was kind of not quite Plinko-esque, but it was a back and forth ramp, so it would hit the end, go down, keep going down.
45-degree angle.
Yeah, and there was slope. 5 slopes, and you had to get all 10 in there at the top before the bottom one hit. The note I made on this is, why is he going fast on the first ball? So what he would do is, there's a pile of balls there, and then
it's kind of silvery.
Right. On his left, and then on the right was this big ramp device. And Dwyane Wade would say, all right, start whenever you're ready. And he would kind of stand there hovering his hand over the balls. And then whenever he decided he was ready, he would quickly grab that first ball and slam it in there. But the rules of the game were, you have to get 10 in there before the first one gets to the bottom. So he could have picked that up very slowly, very gingerly and gently held it so it would roll as slow as possible. And then the second he let that go, then go fast with all the other ones. There was no reason for him to go fast with the first one at all. In fact, it probably made the ball roll faster. And certainly with less precision, because he was just trying to get it in there fast. He, on his first try, also just missed the hole with one of the balls, and it was bouncing around, and one of the rules was you could only use one hand, so he's trying to pick it up with his one hand.
Yeah.
Really slowed him down. He failed, lost a life. He does it on his second try. But he also did the fast first ball thing again on his second try, which again was a bad idea, but he did complete it on the second try.
I mean, the most important aspect of this game is going to be hand-eye coordination. You've got to keep your eye on that hole until you take your fingers off the ball after you've dropped it into the hole. You can't take your eyes off that, because then your brain doesn't know where to aim.
Right. So it took him 2 tries. Not bad. Still, now we've got 6 games left, 8 lives. Basically where we were.
He lost 2 lives?
No, he lost 1 life. So
okay.
Start with 9. Now he has 8 lives. 6 games left. Second game, called Avoid. Basically simple Frogger. It was a little dot that went in a straight line. While you pressed a button, it would move forward.
The whole bottom of the cube became a video game screen.
Yes, it was the ground floor of the cube with a big button of him pressing, trying to move this thing forward. And there were some lines dancing back and forth across. And you didn't want your little cube your little block to hit those. So you would try and delicately stop, and get it through. He again failed on the first try and succeeded on the second try.
After saying, "Look, I play so many video games, my hand-eye coordination is so good."
He did say that.
And I'll be fine.
He was very confident that his timing, he's like, my timing is excellent.
Yeah. It was not. I mean, it's good, but it's not excellent because you
yeah.
failed on the
Right.
first one.
But now, I mean, they've still got 7 lives left, 5 games to go for that 250K. Game 3, Synchronicity. Throw a ball and hit targets at exact same time. So this is for both of them. The man did both of the first 2 games. Game 3, they are on the same side on opposite corners of the cube. There are targets in the other 2 corners of the cube, and they each had to take a ball and throw it across to the opposite corner, and they just had to, each ball has to hit the target at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Here's where I also noted, why are there crash test dummies demonstrating the games with like futuristic fencing masks?
See, I saw it more as Daft Punk.
It's a little Daft Punky. They like I said, they got these futuristic fencing mask things, looking things on, big, just blank
like
void
eggheads.
things. These white suits with like some black lines and things like that. But their hands were free.
Sure.
Human hands.
Yeah.
And that was weird and not explained at all. But every time they showed a game, they would show that. And I learned this was the original one, there was one person competing.
Yeah.
And so this person was called The Body that demonstrates the games. The Body.
Scotty the
And
Body.
it was just played by some female actress in a weird suit demonstrating all the games.
Okay.
And The Body was supposed to be an expert
Yeah.
on all of the games, which I guess we see that by them demonstrating them correctly.
I liked
Successfully.
it. As a visual learner, I appreciated it.
Yeah, it was just a little weird to me, again, why it was this weird crash test dummy doing it with hands. Then I noted, what's the leeway here? Like, what does at the exact same time mean? How many milliseconds of leeway are we given for these balls hitting the 2 targets? That was never established at all from what I could tell. They didn't do a great job discussing their planning in advance, I felt like.
They did a great job discussing when they were going to release the
But
ball.
not like the speed at which they were going to throw it.
Needed to achieve the goal, which was the whole way you won the game, was not discussed once.
No, not at all. So that was a bit of a struggle. It took them 3 tries, so they lost 2 lives.
I would say of all of the games, that would, even if they had perfect communication, how do you convey the force at which you're going to use?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, at one point she said, "Did you throw it hard or soft?" And he said, "Soft." And she said, "Throw it hard." And then that was after the first try. And then the second try, his got there like a second and a half before hers. So maybe not the best strategizing there.
Yeah.
Getting on the same page. But they did succeed on the third try. So they had 5 lives left, 4 games to go. They've now won $10,000. Now
They are at that current point, in my eyes, still letting everyone down.
everyone is still being let down. All the girls that they're very proud of are being let down. So the 4th game was called Deposit. Walk across the cube with 2 balls on platters and drop them opposite sides of each other.
Yeah.
It's like little circular serving trays.
Why is that
almost.
not? Why is that not a restaurant themed one? Why is that a bank themed deposit?
Because you got to deposit them into the little thing.
But the whole way of transportation is more of like a server carrying.
Yeah, it's
a
like
tray.
a server tray, but it has like a vertical handle that you're holding it on. And there's a red one and a white one. And the red and the white deposit locations are on opposite sides of where they are on where you start. So you've got to kind of cross your arms to get them into the proper
yeah.
deposit locations. And if they fall off, obviously, or go into the wrong one, you fail. A cat is killed.
The cat is killed.
And you're dead. This was the first one that the woman did.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also the first one where Dwyane Wade beforehand said, this game, on average, takes 3 lives. And this was the first time they introduced this concept of this game taking a certain number of lives on average. So I'm not entirely sure where that came from. And I also noted at this point that the twirly slow cameras are kind of cool.
Kind of like how when the Matrix first came
Bullet
out.
time in the Matrix, where it would kind of spin around them in super slow mo while they were going.
Yeah.
And especially with her trying to like balance the stuff, I thought that was kind of cool. I actually watched something recently about the Matrix and how they did that bullet time thing was ridiculous. Basically, so a movie is usually shot in 24 frames per second. So what they would do is like block off like the halfway point, so where all multiple cameras could be pointed the same way without the cameras seeing each other.
Okay.
And just put like 12 or 24 cameras all next to each other around the thing and recorded it all, and then just stitched like 1 frame or 2 frames per camera together to rotate
that's cool.
back and forth around as these things were happening. I don't know how they did it in this. Probably similar thing, but digital and way more advanced now because it's like 20-something years.
Yeah.
22 years later.
They're starting to feature this in sports now too, right?
Yeah, but in sports it's always like a little worse because it's only like based on 3 cameras.
Oh, that's
and so
so choppy.
There's never any like movement. It'll be like this person's diving for the goal line and now they just freeze and rotate around to the next camera and then continue the motion.
Got it.
Like it's way better when the motion is continuing while the camera move is happening. Also, this is pre-recorded. It's not a live event like a football game where they have a little more leeway to do some like post-processing and things like that.
Yeah.
But I liked it. And then I also noted wife nailed it first try.
Yeah.
They said that they thought because she was lower to the ground.
That's what
was their logic.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good logic, but it worked.
Yeah, I mean, it just has to be, can you balance things?
Right. She nailed it first try. Now they're at 20K. So 5th game, dual something I missed. Dual blank. Both people have to put 25 balls in a hole in 20 seconds. So it was kind of like the very first game that the guy did where he had to put the balls in there before the last one touched the bottom.
Yeah.
But it was a box between the two of them that just had a hole on either end.
Mm-hmm.
And each of them had a little bank of 25 balls sitting there next to them. And same rules applied where they have one hand to grab a ball and put it in there. And they've got to do, each of them has to do 25 in 20 seconds. So that's more than 1 per second of grab, get it in there, and back down, which is pretty fast.
Yeah.
That would be a pretty quick pace to go at. Getting into the cube is too dramatic, I said.
And too long.
Yes, they made a whole big like show of like dramatic music and dun 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 of them like walking into the cube, which again, as far as I can tell, the cube means nothing. It's just the playing area where these things happen. These seem like the same type of games that were on Don't or on Minute to Win It with Guy Fieri. Like the same type of games that were just on a stage before that are in a cube for some reason now. Being in the cube means absolutely nothing to me.
And the cube, squanders a good potential to say something like "get inside me" or "come play with my balls" or something.
Too bad the cube wasn't saying something
like that.
There could be a lot more stuff.
I'm a robot, but I can also experience pleasure.
Okay. Could you please save some of these for your Make It Better? So the game started by the cube flashing a red light on the bottom, because we already established there's a kind of a video screen on the bottom that you can play Frogger on, or flash a red light when the timer starts.
Those are the only 2 functions of it.
Exactly. He dropped one and neither made it. He did the same thing as the first game that he did, where he just missed the hole with his ball. Neither of them made it. So they tried again. Not close on the second attempt either. I believe he dropped one again. They both got 21 out of the 25 on this second attempt. And so after that, they've got 3 lives left. They decide we're simplifying. We're going to simplify this. So they took it down to 20 balls in 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Dwyane says, think about those kids back home.
Yeah.
So again, kind of just really taunting them about if they fail this, they go home with $0.
Yeah.
So
And your zip code is still,
the most at risk. Every single person is at risk in your
risk,
zip code.
every single
Think
one.
about those kids and don't fuck this up.
Yeah.
There's a lot more pressure there, I feel like. That's a lot of pressure. However, they make it first try. They got like 3 seconds left, or 2.5 seconds left or something like that.
Yeah.
When they completed it. So they were thinking about those kids back home.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to make sure that those at-risk kids got to hoop. Like I mentioned, they would have had $0 if they failed this, because I don't think we said once you decide to play a game, if you run out of lives during that game, you lose $0.
Yeah.
You can walk out at any point before you choose to play a game. So the 6th game, called Spiral. Roll a ball up a spiral and stop between 2 little gate things. So there was a ball with a spiral track that was also uphill, the spiral was. And then probably 75% of the way up to the top, there was a little plastic gate that the ball could go through.
Yeah.
And then a few inches later, there was another plastic gate. The goal is to roll it up there with enough force to get it through the first plastic gate, but get stopped by the second plastic gate and stop between the 2 of them.
Look like a Fibonacci sequence.
Ooh, I like it. Maths. Bringing the maths back into this for our British audience. So they display that game, and then once again, Dwyane Wade says, let's talk about what that $50K could do for you and those kids back home.
Mm-hmm.
And now at this point, they start crying.
Because Dwyane Wade's, what he said was, just put it in a bank and you can't help anybody currently, but in 50 years, you'll be able to help a huge population. And they're like, wow,
Think about compound interest. Do you guys know about compound interest?
that we didn't realize that this was going to be, we wouldn't be able to help. We have kids in mind that we've been working with that we could help. And apparently we're not going to be able to do that.
No, we're going to be able to help kids that are born 40 years from now. So he says, let's talk about what that $50K could do for those kids back home. And they're crying. They're kind of talking about how big a difference that $50,000 could make.
How? What's the difference that it makes?
Better hoops.
Better hoops.
I don't know. Maybe they're providing food for these kids. I don't really know. Who knows? Not me. Those people do.
You know what's
presumably.
more? Feed a kid for a day, and you fed him for a day.
Right.
Teach a kid compounding interest, and you fed a generation.
Wow.
50 years down the road.
That's a good point. That's a good point that I didn't even think of before. But so they are saying this, and then Dwyane says, "You guys are so close to 100,000," like egging them on after they're crying about how big a difference this 50,000 can make. And so I wrote, "What if they continue and blow it? They would never air that, right?" It's really not like the debut episode.
I think they'd air it.
Now that we're getting sob stories, and Dwyane says, "This is why we made this show, to change people's lives, not to make money by people watching it.
No,
just to change people's lives."
Well, as you can tell, it's not a very good show. So they don't really care, or did put a whole bunch of effort into it being an actually entertaining show.
And then I said, "They walked. Boring.
No, smart.
Coward." Why didn't they just have Dwyane Wade do it for them?
I would never put that much money. Can you imagine? What if Dwyane was like, "Oh nah, I don't. I get one simplify, and my simplify is I'm not gonna do that."
I don't think so. And then my next note is, wait, there's another team being introduced with 5 minutes left. Isn't the start of the next game just going to be a repeat of this? I thought they had so much drama as filler to stretch these people over the whole hour.
Yeah.
Um,
The pacing was slow.
yes. And then I wrote, a couple where he was her flag football coach in college. Sounds like some frat shit. First game is called Calculation. Count a series of squares that flashes on the ground. He doesn't want to do it because he's scared she will be mad at him if he messes up. I get it.
And then he continued to mess up
And then
over and over and over.
That's my life. And then they flash a bunch of dots on the floor. Mm-hmm. And then I wrote, holy shit, that was way more than I thought. He guesses. And then we go to a this season on the cube. Dumb. I'm supposed to tune in next week to see if 31 was the right answer to a counting question.
It wasn't.
It wasn't?
He loses 3 lives on that game.
Ooh, he's not a great counter.
No.
So that was the first episode. That was the entirety of the first episode of the cube right there. So if you're interested in what happens after he uses 3 lives on guessing how many dots he's used, because he answered 31 pretty confidently, by the way.
Yeah, it was way wrong.
At the end of the episode I saw. I wasn't prepared to count how many there were, because again, I didn't think there were going to be as many as they put up there, because they put them up in like sequences of like 2 or 3 at a time, and it was like doom, 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 doom. And so like after the 4th I was like, oh, it's 11, and then doom, doom, and I was like, oh my god, they're doing more.
Yeah.
And then they just kept doing it like 12 times or something like that.
Yeah.
So if you're eager to find out what happens next, you can start at episode 2, but before October 2nd, because that's when they're leaving the TBS app, and who knows what happens after that.
Yeah.
So that was the show. Dwyane Wade, I still have feelings about Dwyane Wade from the 2006 NBA championship, in which he shot, speaking of 31, like 31 free throws a game with his driving and flopping bullshit, and the refs in the NBA rigging the series against the Dallas Mavericks. So I will never like Dwyane Wade. He did a lot of jokes in this show, and then he did a lot of I feel like I made this note somewhere, maybe I missed it. He did a lot of over explaining of his jokes. He would tell a joke and then he would explain what the joke was.
That's somebody who comes in with not a lot of confidence in their joke telling ability.
Yeah, he did like he said something to the first couple that was on, where he was like, it was like, oh, who did better? Who did faster on the one where they're putting all the balls in?
Yeah.
And Dwayne's like, oh, you want to know who did faster? It was, and then he's like looking like straight at the guy. He's like, it was her. And the guy's like, oh man, why you gotta look at me like that? Whatever. And he was like, I was looking right at you to trick you into thinking I was gonna say you. And I was like, yeah, we got it. Like, thank you for that basic comedy explanation for us.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He was fine for whatever this was. I felt like it was not particularly great. There have been 86 episodes of the British version of this show.
Yeah.
Only 7 people have ever made it to the final game. Only 7 people have ever completed 6 games.
Okay. Got a 1%.
10%, a little under 10%. Only one person has ever done the 7th game.
Okay.
And that was on a charity episode. And it was Mo Farah, the British long distance Olympian.
Okay.
I don't know. He won like the marathon in the Olympics in Rio. Maybe this time too. I don't know. I didn't watch because it was on at the wrong time this year.
Okay.
I was sleeping. I would wake up.
Sir Mohammed Mukhtar Jamafara, by the way.
Okay. So Mo Farah, he's the only person who's ever done all 7. And the 7th game, I learned because of that, is a harder version of one of the 6 previous games.
So just get to that and say simplify.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's just another one of the games.
Use your simplify there, and then it's probably back down to what you already did once.
Perfect.
That's the strategy. The the idea of this game, of the cube, I learned, by the way, of reading about this afterwards, is that straightforward tasks become difficult in claustrophobic situations under high pressure. However, I disagree that these are straightforward tasks. They are, no matter where you are, putting 25 balls from one place to another in under 20 seconds is difficult. No matter if I'm in a cube or a field, that is difficult.
You're already on a stage
with a crowd
in the
around
spotlight,
you. Exactly.
Even if there's no crowd.
Exactly. For a TV show.
Yeah.
You already got a lot of pressure on you. The cube is a bullshit device.
Also, don't make it a see-through cube. Let's block out those walls and make it
Make it
truly
really
claustrophobic.
Yeah, it's not claustrophobic when you can see everything outside around you.
Yeah.
So this is not the first attempt to make this show in the U.S., by the way. In 2010, CBS ordered a pilot that was produced, hosted by Neil Patrick Harris.
Okay.
And then they said, no, nobody's going to like that. And they didn't ever put it to air.
Yeah.
So they were maybe right. But
do you think that one of their add-ons was still let
Dwyane Wade was going to come and do it? Yeah, exactly.
And then like 10 years later, the guy's like, how about instead of just having Dwyane Wade as the add-on?
Well, he does everything. We would save money that way, right? That's more efficient.
Oh my God. That's synergy.
Hell yeah. So I would say that this reminded me of a better game show that's fictional. You watched episodes with Matt LeBlanc on Showtime or whatever. So in the last 2 seasons of that show, he hosts an American adaptation of a, I believe, Dutch game show called The Box.
Okay.
In which 7 contestants are each put in their own clear plastic cube for 17 weeks.
Oh my God.
And they got like questions or challenges that they could accomplish, and they could either get something for themselves if they achieved that, like, oh, I get a pillow, so now it's easier for me to sleep in this cube. Or you could, the most famous example that they used in the show, which was apparently in Holland, the most, or maybe it was Denmark, maybe it was Danish. Either way, it was one of those kind of countries.
Yeah.
Was release the bees. And you could choose another contestant to release a swarm of bees into their cube.
That's horrifying.
Yeah. So that is a game show that makes proper use of the cube in that people are trapped in there and they can't ever leave and they don't have access to anything else.
Yeah.
And this is a fictional game show as a joke created for a show that was on Showtime for 5 years that like probably didn't have that many viewers.
Yeah.
And I mean, this obviously came out after the British version of The Cube came out, so maybe it was somewhat satirizing that in a way, but it's better, if you ask me. I think my make it better is introduce bees. Like if there were some sort of distraction in the cube, again, if there was a reason for them to be trapped in a cube doing these games, I think that would make the show stronger. But there is, as far as I can tell, absolutely no reason for them to be inside a talking robot cube.
Yes.
To do any of these things.
And so I think this transitions smoothly to my first Make It Better, which is more dangerous games. So we're on the same... Here's the thing. I know it's kind of cynical to be like, I want to see these people in danger, but don't make a shitty show that you have to make up for the shittiness of the show by putting people in danger.
Right.
Which I think is what this needs, because I don't care about this cube.
Right, exactly. Even if there was something as simple as like you're on one side, you've got to throw a ball to the other side or something like that, and during the course of it, the ground is slowly moving towards you and opening up and there's water underneath or something, and you have no escape because you're trapped in a cube, so you've got to get this finished before it retracts all the way back to you and you fall in or
like
something
those
like
ads.
That.
Have you seen those ads on Facebook and stuff of like somebody's trapped? It's like there's 3 different things you can do and there's water filling up. Like one side of this apparatus has lava, one has water, and one has spiders.
I don't think
and
I've
they
seen
have
this,
like
but...
keys that you can pull, but the keys will hit each other. So you have to. There's a correct code on when to pull these.
Yeah, if the cube was filling up with water, and all of a sudden now you're floating, and you've got to finish it before the water level gets all the way to the top.
I think that as the entire show happens, there's a slow trickle
more
of water.
every time.
And every time you lose a life, they do like a quick release. Like they'll release it for 2 seconds, and then just now you're ankle high in water, and the bottom is a video game screen, so that starts to short out.
You can't play that anymore.
And so
now you're screwed on the Frogger thing.
Yeah.
I think there was no reason for the cube to exist.
Yeah.
Other than to be like, what's the gimmick? Oh, they're in a cube.
There was no reason for us to care that the cube existed. Right? Like, you can make reason for anything. But
it was just a gimmick for no real reason.
And not even a good gimmick either.
No. Not impressed by
I agree.
the cube and its robot voice either.
And I think there needed to be more intense countdown music during the challenges.
While they were in the middle of playing and not while they were slow motion walking into the cube.
Right.
Which is where all the drama was. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, they would always cut to commercial right when they were throwing the ball or whatever it was. Like, oh, are they going to do it? And sometimes it was like very obviously like, yeah, that's clearly going to work, or that's not going to work at all.
Yeah.
But that's where the drama is. You got to stay tuned in after that 3-minute commercial break. So the Cube is definitely a show. I've seen, like I said, I think I've seen in the UK, there's a game, and this may be in the American version as well, where like there's a big bucket full of balls, and you've got like 10 seconds to empty the bucket, but you can't turn it over or pick it up or anything like that. So people are just going with their arms flapping around, just like swatting, trying to knock all these balls out of there as quickly as possible. And so I've seen clips of that on YouTube, and I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. That's kind of fun. But I didn't ever really know the context until now. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's as fun anymore. I'm against it now. Yeah. But the show, it went from 2009 to 2015, and then it came back last year, the year before in the UK, and it's still going strong there. For a little bit, when they first brought it back, they made it the $1 Million Cube.
I'm kind of more interested in the Cube now.
And now it's back to $250,000.
Yeah.
But so the $1 Million one was the first one that they did partners, and now they're back to $250,000, I guess, with one person.
That math isn't out.
But over here we've got $250,000
should be
with
$500,000 Cube.
Yeah. I think that the Neil Patrick Harris one was going to be $500,000.
That makes sense.
CBS said that was too much, so they canceled it.
I love how the people in charge behind the scenes are bickering about what the amount should be and not is the content any good. Yeah,
because not particularly. I'm going to give this on a buzzer scale of 1 to 5 buzzers, 1.5 buzzers.
I'm going 2.
2 buzzers?
I thought Dwyane Wade was a fine host.
Yeah, I was going to go 2, and then I remembered that Dwyane Wade hosted it, and so I knocked it down to 1.5 buzzers.
I think he was fine.
If Dwyane Wade surrenders the 2006 NBA championship trophy to its rightful place in Dallas, where we had already had a parade ready to go, then I'll bump it up to 2.
Well, I'll just give him 2. I think he does fine. He's got a nice chill demeanor. The banter's fine. You can tell all those years of doing those shitty interviews he understands how to carry himself.
He's media savvy.
Yeah, he's media savvy.
This resort in Jamaica that my wife and I go to every once in a while.
Yeah.
There's like a private island at the resort, and the last time we were there, right before COVID ended the world, there were some people like, oh yeah, last week the island was closed for one night because there was like some basketball guy like rented it out for a private event. And I was like, whoa, really? Do you know who it was? And they're like, I don't know basketball. Some guy like Dwayne something. And I was like, well, that's one person.
Yeah.
Who spells his name incorrectly, by the way. We didn't get to that, and that's another reason.
Dwayne.
He spells it DWY.
Dwayne.
ANE. The Y should come after the A instead of before the A, modifying the W sound, making it Dwyane Wade. Dwyane Wade. I don't know how that happened. I don't know why his name is like that. I'd like to talk to his parents if I could. If they're listening, could you just shoot me an email at comeondownshow@gmail.com and explain to me why the Y is before the A? Because it makes no sentence. No, what?
It makes no sentence.
It makes no sense. That is not how Dwayne The Rock Johnson spells his name. It's confusing to me. I'm perplexed. And that's the real mystery of the cube, in my opinion.
I'm trying to see if his parents are alive. He has so many children.
He has a
Zaya,
wife, Gabrielle Union.
Zaire, another D.
Probably Zaire.
Zaire, Blessing, Dwyane Wade, Kavia, Kaavia,
Okay.
and Xavier Zachariah.
So like 5
Wade.
kids?
1, 2, 3, 4, I guess.
Okay. That's
There's
not
really
that many.
long names.
Okay.
Sorry. Well, there's...
He's got a hot wife, so... Remember when she was in Bring It On?
I don't.
You don't remember Bring It On?
I don't remember bringing it. Oh, yeah, I remember her.
She was the cheerleader of the Clovers, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this has been an episode of Come On Down. If you are Dwyane Wade's parents or anybody else, you can shoot us an email. But Dwyane Wade's parents will be getting priority. Just to be clear to anybody else, don't get your hopes up.
Put it in the subject line. We are...
Yes, if you are not Dwyane Wade's parents, your email might take a little bit longer to get to us.
Yeah.
Check us out on Instagram, on Facebook. We'll be back next week to talk about more game show stuff.
Yeah.
And until next time, stay out of cubes.
Stay out of cubes. For sure, stay out of cubes. Elevators are fine.
Okay.
But
They're more rectangular prisms, I would say.
correct. If you walk by any sort of see-through cube, I would say take a step back unless you're playing for Underprivileged Youth.
Yes. And if you are, think about what you could do for them. Just think about
The whole time.
how much you could do for them and how much you would be letting all of them down if you fail.
All of them.
All of them.